Hi, this is Moby. Welcome to the Fire Show. Beards. I grew mine in 2013 in my senior year because that was the first time it actually came out as a beard, not just some goatee with hair around it. Since then, I have not actually seen my whole face at all, ever. It's been a while, and it's perfectly okay. But that's not the point. I'm not here to talk about the hair on my face. I'm here to talk about BeardBrand. Remember when beards weren't a thing? That's when BeardBrand started. That's when Eric Bandholz, along with his kickass co-founders Lindsey and Jeremy, started this awesome company. It started off as a solo project, one of many of Eric's, then became a side hustle collaboratively with Lindsey and Jeremy, and then a full-time business that is now a very prominent name in the men's grooming space. This has been quite the journey for Eric and his team and the brand. It started off in Spokane with $30, yes, 30, to a startup weekend and being featured on New York Times, then being on Shark Tank, then making a large amount of money, and now amassing more than 58 million views on YouTube as a brand. I met Eric at a conference in the summer, and he was on a panel about e-commerce. And I thought, I've got to learn more about this guy and his story and BeardBrand itself. So here we are today to talk about content for a brand, bootstrapping, and community engagement to build a company centered around a story. That is, a brand. In this episode, we discuss a bunch of things, as always. Number one, the value of content when it comes to a brand. Number 11, how he met his co-founders at a startup weekend. Number 55, how influencer marketing works. Number 2, how relationships should be long-term. And number 77, the value of a distributed marketing strategy. Bad math aside, my biggest lesson from this episode was surrounding yourself with people who get it. And it's not just creating a circle jerk in which people tell themselves they're really special or smart because they're doing a certain thing that most people aren't. This can be the case with many entrepreneurs. This is the case with many Rick and Morty fans. And that's kind of bullshit. What you want are people who understand why you're doing it, what you're going through, how much it really took to get to that first win, and how much it sucks to have that small loss, even if it disappears in the long term. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode like every episode. If you want to buy some beard stuff, go to beardbrand.com. If you don't want to buy some beard stuff, but are still interested in Eric, his company, and what he does, go follow him and BeardBrand on pretty much everything. On Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, it's BeardBrand, and they push out a lot of great content really, really consistently. And for Eric, you can find him on Twitter at Bandholz. That's BANDHOLZ. All right, my bearded ladies and unbearded gents, enjoy. Hey, Eric.
What's going on, man?
How are you?
Doing well.
How was your day?
It's great. Well, it's still going on. It's Halloween here. I don't know if we should date the podcast or not, but it's a little spooky outside.
Yeah. Is anyone dressed up? I see one sunny side up egg.
Yeah.
And a captain.
Yeah, we're all hipsters here. Yeah. We're all dressed up as hipsters.
Oh, nice. Suits the brand.
Yeah, and yeah. I'm dressed up as a semi-famous YouTuber.
That works. Does that come every day?
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah. So,
Carlos Costa is what I'm dressed up as.
Exactly. It's easier to put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, doing my research last night, I went into your website, right? Because that's where you start. And I just was like, oh, I'll read their blog. and I saw the post, and my eye went down, and I saw, wow, they haven't missed a date, like in a while. So I'm like, I'm gonna find one. So I go back, I try to find one. What month? It's October, right? I go back. I keep scrolling down. I'm on page 9, and I see, yes, they missed August 3rd, but you had posted two videos on August 4th.
Okay.
I was like, okay, let's go back. July, nothing. June was the first time that you did not post a video for the first time. I'm not doing this to point it out, like, why did you not do it? But it's talking about content, you starting off as content, and now doing it on your own, and then now doing it as yourself and through the brand. How did it all start with you making content, vlogs, blogs about things you cared about?
Yeah, content has been a big part of BeardBrand's growth and our strategy, and our goal of being more than just a product company. Like I feel like there's so many companies out there that try to make something cool or unique, and then that's what it is. It's like, hey, look, it's cool, it's unique. And then all of a sudden someone else is like, yeah, it is cool, it's unique, I want to make the exact same thing and charge $5 less for it. And then all of a sudden, like, you've done all the hard work for someone else. So for us, like, a lot of what we wanted to do wasn't really even about the product. It was about the person and how we can help them on their own journey. And obviously our name's BeardBrand, and a lot of those journeys have been around the beard journey, or someone growing out their first beard, and you know, how to take care of your beard, how to handle like the interactions with people. So subsequently, there's a lot of guidance that you can provide and a lot of topics that you can cover on how to do that. But ultimately, you know, we've been in business, we're on our 5th year now. Ultimately, you'll run out of content for like, I mean, how many ways can you say, here's how you groom a beard, you know, like, here's how you grow a beard. So we've been pretty creative and pretty unique to bring in like other people and other people's takes and interpretations of how to groom and take care of a beard. But we've gone beyond the beard into like hair care and skin care and self-improvement. And confidence. And so like, because content's been such a priority for us, it wasn't like, okay, well, we're out of ideas, why don't we just go ahead and you know, do Facebook marketing or something. It was like, all right, well, we got to come up with new content, new ways to tell stories, and new ways to really help our audience.
What was the first post you personally made about beards or self-improvement, or even taking care of yourself as a man?
So from a blog standpoint, I don't remember the first blog post, but I do remember like my first post on our YouTube channel, and it's still up to this day. And what it was simply an introduction of BeardBrand and what we wanted to do with BeardBrand and how we wanted to, you know, like unite the community and help people with their journeys and introduce people to the bearded lifestyle and really like what we wanted to share, like our how we are marketing and how we were going to build the business and stuff like that. You know, it's funny, I got like one comment, which is kind of surprising, like to just create this random video. I don't know how the guy found it, but the comment was like, bearded lifestyle, WTF, but good luck to you, or something like that. And like, that was like really kind of like, from day one, like we always heard that. It was just like a bunch of, not a bunch, but there's always haters or doubters or people who are like, what are you talking about? Like bearded lifestyle. What are you talking about? Like urban beardsmen. And I'm like, dude, this is what we're about. I don't care what you care about. Like, we want to do it. And like, now we got 360,000 subscribers, you know, 50 million views on YouTube. So like,
it's working.
Yeah. I got the one up on that one, you know? So it's like I always have that video to look back on, and that comment as well. Yeah.
Have you ever thought of like sending a message to that person?
I think like because it's like the oldest video now, like people will be able to sort by old, and they'll go in there, and so there's like, you know, there will be a comment that's like only a month old, even though the video is like 5 years old, and it'll be like, yeah, you were wrong here or whatever. So Yeah, it's good to go back and look on that video every once in a while.
Look at your growth.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, like our vision has slightly changed and evolved over time as we've grown and launched new products and tried to be more than just like the beard. So I think it's kind of cool to see like how much of it is there, and like our goal from day one is still true, but it's kind of evolved beyond that.
I haven't seen my full face in 4 years. I don't want to. It's cool.
Yeah.
When was the first time you grew out your beard?
So for me, my journey started. My first time I really grew my beard out, and I say really grew it out, would be like longer than a month or about a month. That was for a charity called Beards Because in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I believe that was like 2007. And then, of course, I would grow it out, shave it down, grow it out. But I typically had like a little bit of scruff as I was. So I got married and I had like a 2-week beard or something like that. So like I always had some kind of facial hair, and I always considered myself like a bearded dude, even though it was short. And that's kind of something that's continued on with BeardBrand. It's like you don't need to have a massive beard to be part of the community. You don't even need a beard. Like you need to just kind of understand what the community's about, and it's not the beard on the outside that counts. It's the one on the inside.
I like that. Yeah.
So, but this beard,
it's a glorious one. You can't see, listeners, but
it started when I quit working as a financial advisor, which was May of 2011. Is when this one started growing, and then I've trimmed it up, and but I haven't been completely shaven at all since then.
Okay. And that was before or after that startup weekend where you met your co-founders?
Yeah, that would have been probably, I don't know if that was before or after. Startup weekend was probably, I probably started growing this. Well, I definitely started growing this before startup weekend. Because I think I always remember myself being the bearded guy in the startup community of Spokane. So, and then I don't think like Jeremy or Lindsey has ever seen me like without some kind of facial hair. So yeah, it definitely would have been after that.
So even going in that startup weekend, you went with the idea of BeardBrand. Is that correct? And you didn't end up working on it?
Yeah, I had gone to 2 startup weekends, and I'm a big proponent of startup weekends. So any entrepreneurs out there who are looking to meet other like-minded people, startup weekends are a great way to do that, and a great way to kind of understand minimal viable product and just like the energy that goes into creating something. So I did one event and fell in love with it, right? Yeah. And I had known Jeremy and Lindsey just through like networking events around Spokane, and I said, hey, let's go do a startup weekend. It's going to be a blast. You're going to have a great time. We went there, and my business partner Lindsey, she pitched us our idea called Parquet, which was a social media, or not a social media, it was a mobile app that allowed businesses with parking lots to lease out those spaces during like events near stadiums and stuff like that. She pitched that, and then I pitched BeardBrand more as like a content business. So like I wanted to go up to Canada, like record it, do like a little video on it, and then like have this kind of like content website. So it wasn't BeardBrand in our current form, but it was because BeardBrand had actually already existed. Like I had the YouTube channel. I'm like, let's take it to the next level. And then what happens in a startup weekend is people will vote on the top 10 ideas, and then with those top 10 ideas, you form the teams, and then the teams will have to work on their projects. So unfortunately, my BeardBrand idea was not a top 10 idea in its current iteration. So I was just kind of, without my idea being selected, I was just kind of on the prowl to see like what other cool projects we're working on. And then I think like Jeremy joined Lindsey's team, and I'm like, okay, I'll go and work with her. And it was kind of like all of us working on Parquet together, that we understood that we work very well together. We see eye to eye. We're philosophically aligned, and we're driven, and we work hard. And I think that was really kind of like that kindling of like, hey, let's actually do some kind of business. Let's, is it parquet? Is it, something else? But it was at that moment that we're like, yeah, let's build a business.
Mm-hmm. That's when it came together that you could work together on whatever that was.
Right.
How did that transition into the decision that it was going to be BeardBrand? Was that I read your about story, so was that a New York Times article?
Yeah, so, BeardBrand was still going on.
Yeah,
and,
as yourself.
Yeah, and I think, like, we looked at ourselves, like me, Jeremy, Lindsey, and there's this fourth person, Joshua, who's still a friend of mine, who were, like, analyzing what our talents were. And the reality is, like, we're a bunch of entrepreneurs, so we don't really have... we have skills, but they're typically they're like sales skills, so like you actually need a product. And we didn't have the tools in-house to develop like a software app like Parquet. So we decided like Parquet is really not going to be it because we'd have to find like a technical person. And I'm sure everyone knows like finding a technical person
very difficult
for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you're not going to pay is very, very challenging. And I kind of knew that from other projects I worked on. So we decided not to do that. And then Joshua had this idea for like a side project he wanted to do. He's also an entrepreneur and he has this staffing business, but he wanted to figure out a better way to do staffing. So we decided to work on that for a little bit, and we got like about a month into it, and we were hitting some kind of roadblocks, and it wasn't going as smoothly. Like it didn't have that same energy as Startup Weekend. So we're like, all right, let's be real. Like this isn't going to work. And he's like, yeah. Probably don't want to do it. He didn't want to cannibalize his business. So it makes sense. So I'm like, well, I got BeardBrand here. We got a little bit of a following. I got the blog set up. We got the YouTube channel set up. I'm going to be quoted in the New York Times. Why don't we like try to make that the business? Why don't we try to find some products, bring a store together and do that? So they're like, yeah, man, we'll do that. So they decided I offered them shares to come on board, and they took them up, and that's how we got started with BeardBrand as the business.
So before it was a business, how were you able to position yourself so that a newspaper like New York Times said, hey, can we quote you? And you later used that traction and press to be the catalyst for, yes, we're going to do this.
Yeah, I think... a lot of stories from entrepreneurs are probably pretty similar, but being in the right place at the right time, I think we were pretty much the only blog out there that talked about beard care. Like there was no other resources out there. So by de facto, we had authority on the matter. And we were the only YouTube channel as well that talked about beard care. There's maybe there's one other guy, Fork in New York, who had like just a couple of updates of his own beard journey, but I think what we were doing was pretty unique, and so there wasn't any other competition, and if they needed a quote from a beard blog, like BeardBrand was the one.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah.
Why, even before it was a business, before Startup Weekend, before you started the YouTube channel, why did you give a shit about beards? And what was the kind of the starting mechanism for you to say this is a lifestyle more than just something you have to look good and feel better? And
for a lot of me, it's been my struggles to fall into society's expectations of what I should be, and kind of like these invisible pressures that I think everyone feels that may or may not be real. They may be in your own head, or they may actually be like people pressuring you. And I remember going back to college, like talking with a counselor for like career fairs, and they're like, rule number 1 is to shave off any kind of facial hair. Like you do not go to interviews with a job. So I always carry that burden on me of like, hey, if I want to get a job, I've got to shave my beard. Hey, if I want to look professional, I can't have a beard. And it's like, but something inside of me is like, I want facial hair. Like I just like I want to wear facial hair. Like I can't explain it other than like I just feel like that's me. Like Eric Bandholz has facial hair, whether it's short or long or a mustache or sideburns or just a small little chin beard. Like I want facial hair. So I think it was for me like trying to overcome those societal pressures, like my mom telling me to shave my beard, or the boss, saying you got to look like a all-American boy, and whatever it may be, to me being like, all right, I'm just going to be me. And I can have facial hair and still be the sales guy or a professional guy, a financial advisor. Like, I can do these roles that traditionally don't have facial hair, and it's going to be okay. So I think that was really what I wanted to share with BeardBrand, and what I wanted to help others and kind of, step my toe in. Because at the time, I mean, when I grew out, like, I was the only dude with a big beard. Like, I was in Spokane, like, I was the dude with the big beard, and no one else had facial hair. So I think we definitely were, we had a little bit of the part in helping empower guys to feel confident and comfortable growing out facial hair.
Yeah.
If they wanted to.
If they wanted to. I like your comment about the invisible pressures. And the beard is just one example, and every demographic everywhere around the world feels that. But with beards, I remember when I was 15, I saw my uncle. He was coming back from his second day at a job, and he said, my boss told me to shave the beard or don't come back.
Right.
And then I always had a small, stupid goatee at like 15. And when I took a leadership position in my school, I was told, cut it off. Then when I started my first formal internship in the U.S., I cut off my beard. And then when I got the job, I go there a year later, and they're like, you have a beard? What? You look different. And we all face these in different ways. So, quick comment about that movement, the beard lifestyle. Over the last 3 years, I'm coming in from an outside perspective. Mm-hmm. For the last 3 years, it has been very popular, like in the mainstream. What was it like in the early days when only a small percent of men cared about this, and you would go out and say, you were trying to promote the lifestyle, not as, hey, this is just what we do, but this is a good way to live. Yeah. What was the feedback you got?
I'm pretty well connected with other entrepreneurs, other business people, and I would always, I'm like amped up about BeardBrand. Like, BeardBrand it's not like an opportunity for me. It is my passion. It is something that is like it is me, right? Like, when you see BeardBrand, it is a lot of it is me. So I'm sharing my passions, and they're like, oh man, it's like, it blows my mind that you could even have like $500 a month in sales. Like, I wouldn't have ever expected something like that, and I'm like, no way, man. Like, this is going to be big. Like, I knew that BeardBrand had the opportunity to really make an impact with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And people would be like, nah, I don't see it. Like, people caring about their beards, a product for your beards. It just, everyone was like, just like shitting on the idea. I wouldn't say like they want to tell me it's a bad idea, because I'm like a friendly, likable guy, and I can kind of convince people. But for the most part, like, no one was like, oh yeah, I see where you're going. Except for maybe like a couple of early competitors. They're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'm just trying to copy it.
Yeah. So, YouTube channel, Startup Weekend, New York Times, Business Get Start. On your website, you had a post in the story, a comment, which is, there's nothing like your first child being born that kicks your ass into gear. And you went from 0 to 120K in sales every month. What was that turning point where you said, I'm just going to go all in? What made you, you already cared about this, but now you went all in and said, this is going to work. That's stupid. Sorry. I just got this phone, and I still don't know how to turn silent. Cool.
So those early days were really interesting, because I was working on multiple projects. I had Spokane Beard and Mustache, which was like a nonprofit club. I had Sovereignty, which was like a graphic design business. And then I had BeardBrand, which we're talking about. And then I think I had like Startup Spokane, which was like a startup community. So I had these like 4 projects I was working on. And gradually what would happen is like my top 2 projects were, my number 1 project was Sovereignty. That was kind of what was bringing in the income. And then BeardBrand. And then if you could kind of visualize, like, sovereignty staying the same, but BeardBrand's getting bigger and bigger. And eventually it's like, okay, well, I've got to constrict my time into sovereignty and put it to BeardBrand. So I would say that transition kind of started happening around June or July of 2013, and then into really, I think like it was October, maybe it was September, we hit like $25,000 for the month. I'm like, okay, we're almost close to the point where if I needed it to pull some kind of salary out of it, we could do that. And then like October, November, like got into that $75,000. I think it's been so long, I don't remember the actual numbers, but it was around that time where it became too much. And then we made our first hire, I think in that November or December, and then that's when I started like being full-time in the business, was around October, November, and I killed off all my other projects and put all my focus into BeardBrand. So it was definitely a side hustle for about 10 months.
Wow. And it grew to a point where you had no choice.
Yeah, and it's funny you talked about like, so my wife got pregnant in February, and then my daughter was born in November. So it was like, BeardBrand's it's got to show enough potential to be that full-time business to support, you know, my wife and my child, or eventually grow to support it, or, you know, I'm going to have to give up and go back to corporate America and make a good salary. So there was that incentive of like, how do I get this growing? How do I keep it up? How do I connect with more people so that I can support my family?
Yeah, it's sometimes motivation isn't enough. It's discipline or some external forcing mechanism which kind of tells you, get your ass in gear. A lot of travelers or wannabe travelers have this issue, which is, when do I go? When should I plan my trip? And sometimes you just got to buy the ticket, and then when it's 10 days before, you're like, fuck. So sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah, I'm headed to Japan next week, and I got my plane ticket and my hotel room. That's all I got. So I've got some planning to do.
Yeah, I'm going to Colombia in December, and the same. I don't even have a hotel yet. I'm going there for school, but for 5 days before, I'm there, and well, we'll figure it out.
Apparently there's an app called Hotel Tonight where you can just find something the night of and get a pretty good deal. So for all those procrastinators out there and last-minute travelers.
It's not a bad way to live.
Yeah.
So at SumoCon, you mentioned, I don't think it was in response to my question, but you said that you had built your business with the help of content and influencer marketing. What is influencer marketing?
You know, it's kind of funny because like a lot of the influencer marketing we did was internal influencers. So it wasn't like a traditional thing where we just scoped out 100 different people and we're like, hey, here's some products, review it for us. It was like, how do we be that leading voice in the industry and be influential and be more than just the product company we talked about? So a lot of the influencer marketing was from our own content, our own creations, but it was also reaching out to a few select partners who understood the brand and what we're trying to do and aligned with the mission of empowering men to be themselves. So we were able to build some really deep relationships with a few influencers, quote unquote influencers, that we've been able to foster that relationship. And I don't really like the term influencer marketing. Like, I feel like it's like, to me, it's like, oh, I'm an internet marketer. I'm going to like, you know, take advantage of these influencers and I'm just going to pay them, you know, whatever, $50 to post about me. And then all of a sudden I'm going to make this, you know, millions of dollars or whatever. So I think that's my vision of influencer marketing. And then my reality of influencer marketing is just trying to build relationships with people who are passionate about what we're doing, and we are passionate, or we dig what they're doing as well. So if they're doing something pretty cool, then we'll be like, hey man, we dig what you're doing. Yeah. There may be something to work on, there may not be. You know, like we've done this table that this mic is standing on was built with another YouTuber, DIY Pete, and his channel is just like making tables and stuff. Yeah. So we were able to do a collaboration with him that, you want to think a traditional type of collaboration could go off on like a beard grooming channel and like a DIY channel, but you make it happen because you get to know them, you build that relationship, they become friends, and you're like, yeah, man, let's do something. So
it's not transaction based, more relationship based.
Yeah, I mean, like our goal is never to be like, all right, we have to spam out this many products and get this many results. It's like build that relationship, and if you build a relationship, then it's easier to be like, hey, you got any other friends who might appreciate what we're doing, and kind of grow from there. And probably the same in the podcast. You should always ask, hey, any other people I can interview?
That's true. Now the sources are almost always referrals.
Yeah.
Where people say, hey, you should interview this person. And I do meet them once, and then I'd like to interview you because you seem interesting. It works out really well.
Yeah.
That way. I've yet to send a cold email, which is working out really well.
Yeah.
Exactly. In terms of the relationship based, and you mentioned how you don't like that part of influencer marketing, that I have no relationships in that industry or in that field or market, and I have 10,000, I'm just going to pay people. How long does it actually take to create relationships that have the long tail impact on a business or brand on your life?
There's some marketing that you're never going to know if it works or not. It's just kind of like that intangible feel. For us, it's like choosing not to put pop-ups on the website, or investing a little bit more in our photography, or building relationships with certain influencers that, I mean, yeah, you might be able to do like an affiliate code or something like that and kind of measure how things are working. But the reality is, like, you don't entirely know that full influence and that full reach of it. And I think, from a business building standpoint, you just have to think about what is like the right thing to do. Like, what is the right way to have interactions with people, and with the expectation that you're going to be in the business in 10 years or 20 years, and you want your reputation to stand strong for that amount of time, and you want those relationships to last, and you don't want to burn bridges, and you don't want to piss people off. And certainly you are going to inadvertently step on people's toes just by doing business, and you're almost not doing business right if you're not pissing off someone. Hopefully it's competitors that you're pissing off. That's part of it as well. Communication's always a challenge, and you're not always going to perfectly communicate with everyone. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't build a business exclusively on influencer marketing. I want to build a business exclusively on content. I want to build it exclusively on Facebook ads. I would try to do multiple things to have a well-rounded, diversified business. But there's a couple strategies. Like, if you focus on your strategy, then you're going to be able to, and I don't know if you can hear this in the mic or not, but we're on 6th Street and there's X-Files.
X-Files, that's true. I can feel it on the floor. Yeah, I like it.
So we get all sorts of weird noises here. But so, like, you're going to be able to grow your business faster by focusing on one thing because you're going to become an expert on it. But there's a lot of risk in building on one platform. Like, if anything changes in the marketplace, like Facebook decides to up their rates by twice, that's really going to affect your business. So if you can have a distributed marketing strategy that includes, content, search, Facebook, pay-per-click, YouTube, influencer marketing, PR, then what happens if one of those buckets takes a hit? Then your business is still going to be able to handle through that, and you can divert it and react to it. So that's been our strategy, is more of a broad marketing tactic to do our in-house social media, a lot of content, and have a lot of different avenues for people interacting with us.
Testing what works right now and then adapting if you're able to. I liked your comment before that the summary would be that if you go into a relationship expecting something out of it, like a business transaction, then it's probably not the right thing to do, or you're probably not going to get it, and you're bound to be disappointed.
Yeah, and I think there's always a little bit, like, you want to have a little clarity, because I do think there should be a purpose of certain interactions. Like, you just don't want to like email random people, because you're almost like kind of wasting your time being like, hey, let's just be friends. Let's just build a relationship.
Yeah, can I have coffee and not mention what I want to talk about?
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So you want to be like, hey, yeah, I've got a podcast and I want to, maybe eventually tell your story or whatever. Or, hey, like, you have a cool beard. Obviously, there's synergies going on there. And maybe a lot of it's implied a lot of times, but sometimes it's not. So I do think you do want to have a little bit of a purpose for that first introduction so that you can kind of build that relationship. But sometimes, like, there is no goal. Like, you just think what they do is cool, and you want to get to know them better, pick their brain, or whatever it may be.
What would you say, because you're a much different person than who you were before. You're running a company, you have a family. What would you tell yourself 10 years before in terms of, just like you talk to men right now, just like you tell them this is a lifestyle, these are some values you might be interested in. What would you tell yourself 10 years ago?
Yeah, 10 years ago would be 2008, which was kind of really when I started my entrepreneurial journey. So it would be very applicable to me, but it's really put yourself around like-minded people who are willing to do things. So much of what I did early on was try to convince people to become entrepreneurs, friends and family. I'm like, hey, let's start this business. But really what I should have been doing is being around other entrepreneurs who will actually start stuff. And I found that I work very well with business partners, and I love my relationships that I have with my business partners. And it's been a very rewarding experience for me to have that relationship. But I know some people are maybe a little more difficult and they prefer 100% ownership, but I don't think you're ever going to be able to accomplish as great of things as a 100% owner, because entrepreneurship's tough and you need those people to kind of lift you up when you're down, and for you to lift them up when they're down, and to celebrate your wins and to fight through your hurdles.
Especially celebrating those wins, because otherwise you can just become a workaholic.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to celebrate, like, because no one else gets it, like,
yeah, that's true.
They may kind of get it, but, and you could do like entrepreneurial groups again and celebrate, but it's still like really the grind that you have in your business, like your business partners get it.
That actually clicked. You mentioned no one else gets it. I'm like, fuck yeah. So it's just kind of, when someone says something, you're like, I could never have said it, and even though it's so simple and obvious. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, this was great. Thanks for being a part of this.
My pleasure.
And I hope that was fun.
Yeah, it's been a great chat.
Absolutely. And thanks for the X-Files. Don't ask them for money. I hope they don't ask me for money.